it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Happy International Scrapbooking Day. Today I am celebrating with the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, and we have a virtual crop happening all weekend long over on our Facebook group, Scrapbook Nerd Friends Group. We have challenges, prizes, and tons of inspiration. So if you're tuning in between May 5th and 7th, 2023, be sure to head over and I'll put a link to that group below. You have all week long to complete the challenges, but if you're late, no big deal. I have a quick and easy layout process video for you, and I'm going to be beefing up embellishments from a collection using some basic tools. And the collection I'll be beefing up is Pet Shoppe from Simple Stories. So here's the material I'll be using. It's all from Simple Stories, and most of it comes from the Pet Shoppe series. And I'm calling it a series because this collection is divided into 3 themes: cat, dog, and general. I'm going to put links to the shop and the products I use in the description box below, including the tools. So here's what's on my desk. I created a frame style foundation page in advance with 3 papers. I'm showing you I rounded the corners. I'm also showing you that I did not gut the foundation page, which I almost always do, and I do recommend you gut the back, not to use 3 papers for a foundation page. I was just a little busy today. So I'm going to link up a tutorial below where I explain how to gut the papers when creating a frame style foundation page. I just showed you the photo I'll be using of Chester, a bunch of paper from Pet Shoppe, and some material from my stash, basically some cardstock, along with some wood grain paper that's from another Simple Stories collection. I just showed you 3 die sets I'll be using. I'll talk about those later on. And in this tray, I have a bunch of embellishments, including ephemera, foam stickers, alphas, and enamel dots. The first thing I'm going to do is cut up a bunch of papers to create the foundation layer that's going to be just underneath my photo. So I'm going to be creating a photo mat with a bunch of strips of paper. I'm using 2 different prints. This is a great technique to use if you have leftover collections or just scraps of paper. You can use all different prints if you want, or 3 different prints. Like I said, I'm just using 2 prints for this one. And I'm going to put measurements for all of these page parts on the screen a little bit later on when I place it on the foundation page with my photo. So again, these are all different widths and different lengths. What I'm going to do now is just tear the ends of it. And I'm using an old tearing tool from Creative Memories. Really not necessary. All you have to do is just kind of rip the end a little bit. And then what I will do is apply a bit of ink to all of these strips of paper. So the ink I'm going to get out is Morning Mist by Versifying Claire. That's what I'm showing you right now. It is the ink I most often reach for, and it is the ink I most often use when I ink up different layers that go on a foundation page. So I'm just applying a bit of ink. It barely shows on that navy paper. You will see it a little bit more on that yellow paper. And I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. I continue doing it off camera, and you're going to see I come back and all of my strips of paper are all inked up. And you'll get a better idea of how they look nicely together with the ink when I actually place them on the foundation page. What I'm also going to do now with this cardstock is cut 3 very narrow strips of paper. Again, they're all going to be different widths and different lengths, and I'll put the measurements on the screen a little bit later on. And what these are going to do is form a shelf on the horizontal across my page. You're going to see that in a moment as well when I place all of these page parts on the foundation page. That's what I'm about to do right now. So when I place these strips of paper on the vertical, that's going to be my photo mat, there is that bit of ink on it, and I find it helps them kind of mend nicely together, especially on that yellow paper, but it is a step that is unnecessary. There I go now, placing those pieces to create a shelf on the horizontal, and that is not quite center on the page. It's a little bit down towards the bottom. I'm placing my photo with the mat that I prepared in advance in navy blue on the page, and I'm finding it a little bit dull. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm probably going to have to change that. And I'm really happy I did not adhere that photo to the mat at this point. So now what I'm doing is just adhering these strips of paper to my foundation page. And I made sure that when I adhered the first strip of paper over on the right, that it was nice and straight, because what I'm doing now is just following suit and bumping up those strips of paper along. I'm keeping it straight at the top, but you can see at the bottom they are at all different lengths. That's why I wanted to make sure the first one was straight, so that when I continued adhering, they would continue being straight. So there I go, adhering my shelf across the page. Again, all of those are different widths and different lengths. I am going to place my photo on top, still not happy with the photo mat, but again, I'm going to move forward with other steps, but I do get back to the photo mat a little bit later on. Now I'm getting out 2 of my 3 die sets, both from Elizabeth Craft Designs. The first one I'm showing you here, I don't have the name. It's going to be in the description box below, but basically it's got a film strip, a few other pieces, and these circular elements. I also got another die set out from Elizabeth Craft Designs with 2 leaves on it. So that's what I'm going to cut out right now. Now for the circular pieces, that's going to be creating my journaling box. So what I'm going to do, one of these circles is like this detailed, it's not a wheel, I'm not quite sure what it is. You'll see what it is in a moment. It's a detailed circle. And the one at the bottom is a full circle, and it's got nice stitched embossing all around the edges. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that on the screen, but it is there. I love Elizabeth Craft Designs for many reasons. Number one, they work well. They cut so very, very well. You do get a good bang for your buck. You get quite a bit in each die set for what you get. And they are so nice and detailed, like with stitched embossing on them. What I will do later on is cut out another circle. You can see that navy blue circle in the top left. That came out from that detailed circle. I'm going to cut out another one of those, but in graph paper later on. But right now what you see me doing is cutting out some leaves. So this is from another die set. It has 2 different leaf styles on it. I'm using this one because I think it can kind of mimic catnip, and this is a Chester page. So I cut out 2 here, and I do cut out some more off screen. And I only end up using 2, but no big deal, because you're going to see next week on YouTube, I plan to create my coordinating page for this one. So I'll use my extras for the page I create on YouTube next week. I'm also showing you there that I did cut out graph paper, the little circle there. That's going to go in the middle of that journaling box, and that's where my journaling is going to go. So what I'm going to do is adhere this detailed blue circle on top of that wood grain, and the adhesive I'm using is called Sticky Specs by Ecstasy Crafts. Basically, you place your detailed piece on top of that sticky sheet. It picks up the adhesive. It's great for any detailed die cut pieces, and that is available at the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, so I will link it up below. And now I'm just simply adhering that graph paper in the middle of that circle. So I'm happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is place all of this on my page. You can see where I plan to place my journaling box, just kind of at the bottom left of that photo along that shelf. And now what I have to do is determine my title. So I plan to create quite a dynamic title. I am going to mix up ephemera pieces, that's the word meow, along with this sticker book from Simple Stories and some die cut alphas. Now those dies, again, from Elizabeth Craft Designs. Each one of them, they are a little bit bigger than 1 inch, are stitched. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm showing you how I created my own thickers with them. Basically what I did was I backed that yellow cardstock with some foam adhesive, and what I did after that was simply run it through my die cutting machine with the alpha, and you're going to notice out pops a dimensional alpha. I love alpha dies. for my stash, simply because I never run out of letters and I can cut them out in whatever color I want. Again, big bang for your buck if you have a die cutting machine. So I'm showing you everything I have around me. I have a tray with my embellishments, including my die cut leaves. I have a pile in the top right. That's going to be for my title. I also have some foam stickers, and I have a bunch of options for photo mats. Again, the blue, I'm finding it boring. I add the white, not liking it. Add the white and blue. Anyway, you can kind of see what I'm doing. And in my brain, I'm thinking the yellow would work because of Chester's yellow bow tie, but for some reason, I'm not liking it. When I create pages, I tend to inch forward carefully. And what I mean by that is I'm afraid to add a big impact right off the bat because I know I will be embellishing later on. And I fear if I add that yellow photo mat, by the time I get all of my embellishing, especially for this page, because it's kind of a fun cat page with a very colorful collection, I'm afraid it will be too much. So I still want to kind of keep it a little bit discreet. Anyway, what I end up deciding to do is double mat the navy mat with wood grain. And you may have noticed underneath the photo, I added one layer of scrap cardstock, the very same size as the photo. And what that does is it just bumps up the photo a little bit off the photo mat. So it's not as much as foam adhesive, it's just a little bit bumped up. Now what I'm going to do is start by placing the title. I know I want the word meow just on top of that shelf. So then I place my journaling box and my photo. I also know I want my title to be bumped up along that photo, and I want the words to be one on top of the other. That's why you see cats right above that. I'm coming in with my little leaf bunches that I die cut. I do find leaves for dies fabulous to have in your stash because it's a great way to beef up embellishment clusters. It's just fun to add a bunch of them in. It's almost like serving as the base layer to an embellishment cluster. Now I'm coming in with some other embellishments. In that foam sticker sheet, there's a Siamese cat, which is perfect because my dear Chester is Siamese. I find myself a little piece of ephemera with a speech bubble that says, "The cat's in charge, we just live here." That basically applies to our home. Anyway, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I am not finished here, but I do know in order to move forward, I'm going to have to start adhering pieces. And with regards to my title, which is going to have more of an impact on the page, actually a huge impact on the page, the alphas that are in that sticker book are really fragile, so I never transfer them onto wax paper and play around with placement like you often see me do with alphas because they are fragile. So that's why I'm waiting to adhere those to the page. I'm just going to have to do it in one shot. I love those alpha books, but you have to be careful with them. So I'm starting by placing meow on top of that shelf. I pop them all up with foam adhesive. I also backed each one of those circles with a little punch out of cardstock just to make them a little bit thicker because they are paperweight and I was using foam adhesive and I didn't want the paper to bow. Then I came in with my journaling box. I made sure the graph paper was straight with my T-square, then adhered my photo on top. So now I'm coming in with a little speech bubble. I'm going to tuck in those leaves a little bit later on. Actually, I'm doing it right now. Luckily, I'm using the adhesive it's the Easy Runner tape strips. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room, which is why I can lift items and put them underneath. I do that all the time, which is why it's really important for me to use an adhesive that does give me wiggle room. And that one is in the description box below as well. Now you can see me adhering the word cats right on top of meow. So I'm coming in with my T-square and just kind of following along, and I absolutely love the fact that they are dimensional. Again, a great way to use those alpha dies is to back your paper with foam adhesive. And after that, I'm going to continue working up. Now, in this book, for each color, there are 6 colors in each one of these books, 6 colors of alphas. Each one of those colors are in 3 different sizes. I'm going to start here, but I continue off camera because it's hard for me to adhere those with a tripod over my head. But you get an idea how it looks. It's great. It's a great way to create dynamic titles, those little alpha books, as long as you're careful using them. So I came in and adhered that Siamese cat at the bottom. I'm coming in with these little enamel dots now, and I'm putting them color on color right on top of those words there, or on top of those letters, I should say. I had this little tab that says perfect, so I'm putting that in the top left corner, top right corner of Chester. So I'm kind of creating a hint of a visual triangle, even though most of my embellishing just kind of goes along the left-hand side of the photo. And then I find myself a little ephemera piece with a little red heart. I'm going to pop it up on foam adhesive, and I'm just putting it on the right side of that shelf. But basically, that is it. It came together very, very quickly. Off camera, I did my journaling, and I just ruffled up the torn edges at the bottom of that photo mat with my fingernail. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be thrilled if you did. The same thing for my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec. Also, don't forget to check out the Scrapbook Nerd online shop for these fun supplies and the Facebook group to join our International Scrapbooking Day online crop. Have a fun weekend, and I'll be back on YouTube May 9th. Bye-bye.